If They Need Me, Reacher Season 1 Actors Update after 2 years away highlights something I want in Season 4. One Reacher Season 1 actor would be great to see return in Reacher Season 4, regardless of which Lee Child novel is chosen to be adapted for next year's installment. Reacher has enjoyed massive streaming success on Amazon Prime Video since premiering back in 2022 with a fantastic adaptation of the very first Jack Reacher book, Killing Floor. Season 1 also incorporated several flashback sequences to peel back the layers of Reacher's relationship with his fallen older brother, Joe. Younger versions of Reacher, and his brother Joe, for that matter, were a constant part of Reacher's critically acclaimed first season. Both young Reacher, played by Maxwell Jenkins, and young Joe, played by Gavin White, were included in 6 of Reacher Season 1's 8 episodes, which goes to show how much of a role their backstory played in Killing Floor. Even if young Joe isn't portrayed again in the series, I would still appreciate seeing more flashback content that incorporates young Reacher in future seasons. Young Reacher was great for fleshing out the character in Season 1. Adding more Reacher flashback sequences in Reacher Season 4 and beyond would add more depth to his character, which was arguably missing from Reacher Season 3. Including more Reacher backstory, whether they are true to Child's books or invented purely for the series, like all of Neely's scenes in Reacher Season 3, would explore new avenues for Reacher's character and take him out of the present context of the main story. This would ultimately create a more complex and stronger version of his typically straightforward character. When asked by Screen Rant about the possibility of returning in future seasons of Reacher, the Bondsman actor Maxwell Jenkins revealed his potential interest. "I haven't had talks with them, but the show is great. I continue to watch it, and Alan is so fun to watch. I can't wait to see what that show has in store. If they need me back, I'll be there." Jenkins is a few years older now, but could still add some valuable insight into Reacher's upbringing, especially for viewers who haven't read many or any books, and also bring young Joe's character back into the fold. Portraying Reacher as a boy was a smart technique to introduce viewers to his character in Season 1. While it's understandable why they dropped it since it was mostly used to illustrate Reacher's history with Joe, it'd be useful to keep finding ways to add more layers to Reacher as the years go on. Even though Reacher Season 3 was just as critically acclaimed as the first 2 seasons, some viewers found it a bit mundane compared to previous installments. Incorporating young Reacher once again may offer some intriguing complexity to Reacher, especially if the series continues well into the future. 2 years is a long time in the world of a show like Reacher. Since Amazon Prime Video's explosive debut of Reacher Season 1, many faces have come and gone, some by choice, others by plot necessity or brute force. But in a recent interview, Willa Fitzgerald, who played Roscoe Conklin, the no-nonsense Margrave cop and Jack Reacher's Season 1 love interest, finally broke her silence about the role that made fans clamor for her return. And while she kept things vague, her message was clear: "If they need me, I'm there." That single statement has reignited fan hope, and it highlights exactly what I want to see in Reacher Season 4. Roscoe's absence left a hole. From the very beginning, Roscoe stood out. She wasn't a damsel, she wasn't intimidated by Reacher's imposing presence, and she had agency. She cracked jokes, pulled her weight in fights, and pushed Reacher to show more emotion than he probably had in years. By the end of Season 1, their goodbye was bittersweet but final. Roscoe chose to stay in Margrave. Reacher, as always, walked away into the next storm. That's just how it goes in Lee Child's universe. But let's be honest, something about Roscoe stuck. She was different from Reacher's usual flings. She had history, grit, chemistry, and she understood him in a way that wasn't purely transactional. Fans noticed it. So did Fitzgerald, who in her update said she loved how Roscoe wasn't written to be saved, she was written to stand beside him. "If they need me, why that line matters." Fitzgerald's statement, casual as it might sound, opens the door to something Reacher hasn't yet attempted, a callback to a past connection. Reacher is episodic by design. New town, new characters, new chaos. It's part of the show's DNA. But even loners have unfinished business, and Roscoe feels like just that. "If they need me, I'm there." It's a simple phrase, but it speaks volumes. It tells us she hasn't written off the role. More importantly, it suggests the creative team hasn't either. In a show where few characters make it out alive, let alone into a fan's memory, Roscoe is a rare exception. She didn't die. She didn't betray Reacher. She just didn't come along. That's the kind of narrative seed you don't plant unless you might water it later. Reacher needs to be haunted, not just hunted. One of the show's few emotional gaps is Reacher's inner life. Sure, we get glimpses, his brother Joe's murder in Season 1, the military flashbacks, his brief moments of vulnerability, but we don't often get continuity of emotion. Roscoe could be that thread. Not necessarily as a permanent love interest or sidekick, that's not how Reacher works, but as a symbol of a life he could have had if he ever stopped running. Imagine this. In Season 4, Reacher passes through a town on another mission. At a bar, he sees something on the news, maybe Roscoe receiving a community award, maybe she's in danger, maybe she's just mentioned in a throwaway line. That's all it takes. Suddenly, the audience is reminded. He remembers. And now, so do we. This isn't about romance. It's about grounding. Reacher is a force of nature, but even storms have origins. If Reacher wants to evolve without compromising its core identity, bringing back a character like Roscoe, even for one episode, could add emotional continuity without slowing the pace. The female leads deserve continuity too. Another reason Roscoe's return would be satisfying is how it speaks to the broader treatment of female characters in the series. While each season has introduced strong, capable women, Sergeant Dixon in Season 2, Agent Russo in Season 3, they're mostly forgotten once the finale hits. The same goes for villains. The show burns through characters like ammunition. Roscoe's reappearance, even in a small capacity, would tell fans that Reacher is willing to break its own rulebook occasionally. And it would be earned. Roscoe wasn't just a character that supported the plot. She was pivotal to Reacher opening up, trusting again, and even if briefly, staying put. In Season 1, he planted a tree. Remember that? Roscoe watched him do it. If Reacher, of all people, could pause to plant something that would take years to grow, it was a metaphor. The roots are still there. Season 4 is the right time, with Season 3 based on Persuader and Season 4 likely leaning into The Hard Way or 61 Hours, the time is right for a deviation. After 3 seasons of episodic arcs, bringing back one familiar face, even just for a moment, would mark the beginning of an evolution in the show's tone. It wouldn't be unprecedented. After all, Lee Child's books occasionally allow characters like Francis Neagley to recur. Why not Roscoe? If Willa Fitzgerald is open and the fans are hungry, the only thing missing is the narrative justification, which Reacher could easily provide. A phone call. A favor. A case that connects to Margrave. A ghost from Season 1's past re-emerging. It doesn't even have to be about her. But she could be in it. And just like that, the world of Reacher gets a little richer. Final thoughts. She was never just a side character. Reacher doesn't do attachments. That's the rule. But every so often, the rule gets bent. Roscoe Conklin was one of the rare characters that cracked his armor, not with terse or melodrama, but with strength, humor, and empathy. 2 years later, Willa Fitzgerald still holds that spark. Her willingness to return, if they need me, is